If you live in Northern Virginia, you're probably participating in a lie. Not a big lie, not something intentional, just a quiet one that shows up in conversation over and over again. You tell people traffic is unbearable. You complain that $1 million barely buys a house in Northern Virginia. You say pretty confidently that you're not staying here forever, that this is temporary, that eventually you'll move somewhere else easier. And then 10 years pass and you're still here. Same general rhythm to your life, same routes, same routines, same conversations, maybe a different house, maybe a slightly longer commute, but fundamentally the same life you once described as temporary. At some point, it starts to feel a little like that line from Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. And the strange part is, it's not even that you can't leave. It's that after a while, leaving Northern Virginia just doesn't feel like the obvious move anymore. And if you've been here even a couple of years, you've probably already started to feel that, whether you've admitted it or not. Because Northern Virginia is supposed to be a transient place. That's what people say. People come here for government work, for consulting, for tech, military. They stay a few years and then they move on. That's the reputation. But if you actually watch what happens, that's not the real pattern. The pattern is that people come here to the greater DC area in Northern Virginia thinking it's temporary. And then they build their entire lives here almost by accident. They take a job. They find a place that works. They settle into a routine. They meet people and get comfortable and adjust in small ways. And then one day they look up and leaving feels very complicated. Not because they're stuck, but because Northern Virginia has quietly changed what they expect from their life. It reshapes your sense of time, your tolerance for cost, your definition of a good opportunity, and your idea of what normal feels like. And it does so gradually. So gradually that you don't notice it while it is happening. Until you catch yourself saying something about a commute or a price or a lifestyle that would have sounded completely unreasonable to you a few years earlier. And now it just feels right. And I'll say this now because this is usually a conversation that I end up having later. If you're thinking about moving here to Northern Virginia, or even trying to figure out where you would fit here in the area, call me, text me, email me, because this part, what life here actually feels like, matters more than any house, condo, or other property that you are looking at. If you really want to understand how this shift begins, it almost always starts with the commute. At first, it feels like a detail, something that you will figure out, something you assume will work the way it has everywhere else that you have lived. You look at a map, you see Arlington, Alexandria, Tysons, Reston, and everything looks close. I've had so many people relocating from New York, Florida, Texas say the exact same thing. This is great. Everything is so close together. And I always think, give it a month. Because here in Northern Virginia, distance doesn't behave the way that you expect it to. 5 miles might take 10 minutes, or it might take 45, depending on the time of day, the direction, whether it's raining, whether there's an accident near the Beltway, and whether 66 is cooperating with you that particular day. You start to notice the patterns, the slow river of red brake lights on I-66, the way 495 seems to tighten around certain exits like it's holding its breath, the rhythm of the George Washington Parkway along the river, beautiful until it's not moving at all. And gradually, you stop asking how far something is. You start asking what it's like to get there. There's a moment that a lot of people have, usually somewhere near the mixing bowl, where I-95, 395, and 495 all come together. You're not moving. You're just sitting there, watching the same car next to you for what feels like an unreasonable amount of time. And something clicks. You realize your day has started organizing itself around avoiding this exact moment. You leave earlier. or later. You pick where to live based on whether you'll have to deal with this twice a day. You plan your evenings around how bad it might be getting home. And that's when the commute stops being something you deal with. It becomes something you design your life around. And at the same time, something else is pulling everything together. The kind of work that people do here in the Northern Virginia area. You might meet someone and ask what they do, and the answer sounds simple until you listen closely. I work at the Pentagon. I work for the Pentagon. I consult to the Pentagon. Or I work for a company that consults to a company that supports the Pentagon. There are a lot of layers. And it's not just the Pentagon. It's the State Department. It's intelligence agencies. It's contractors supporting those agencies. Consulting firms advising those contractors. Tech companies building infrastructure for all of it, especially out towards Tysons, Reston, and Herndon. Cybersecurity, AI, cloud systems, defense tech. It's one large ecosystem. And once you're inside it, there's momentum. Opportunities build on opportunities. Connections lead to other connections. Careers don't just move forward, they compound. There's always that moment when you first look at homes here in Northern Virginia. You open up listings, scroll, and then stop because something doesn't line up. Townhomes in the 700s, 800,000s, single-family homes easily over $1 million in Arlington, McLean, Falls Church, and your first reaction is, that can't be right. And if you've gone through that moment, you remember it. But then you keep looking, and slowly your reaction changes. You don't start liking the prices, you just start accepting them. And while you're adjusting to all of that, something else is happening quietly in the background. The value of what you own or what you purchase is moving because the same forces that made it expensive keep it valuable. Strong job base, a constant demand, and limited space in the areas where people actually want to live. More people want to be here than there is room for them. And after a few years, the conversation changes. You're minutes from Washington, D.C., the Smithsonian Museums, the National Mall, the Kennedy Center, professional sports, Capitals, Nationals, Commanders. You've got trails like the W&OD. Great Falls is just up the road. Weekend drives out to Shenandoah National Park. It's beautiful Skyline Drive. Hiking, wineries, open space that feels completely different from your workday. You're not just near the beach, you're within reach of places like Rehoboth, Bethany, even Ocean City for a long weekend during the summer. You've got easy access to Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport and Washington Dulles International Airport. You can get almost anywhere in the world. New York, Philadelphia, Richmond, all within easy reach. There are very few places where all of that exists together. So when people ask why everyone stays in Northern Virginia, it's not one thing, it's everything. The commute shapes your time, the career builds your momentum, the cost reshapes your expectations, the home builds your wealth, and the location gives you access to everything. And before you know it, you're not observing the Northern Virginia bubble anymore. You're living inside of it. If you're thinking about moving here or trying to figure out where in Northern Virginia you fit, reach out, call me, text me, email me. Tell me your situation, your job, your lifestyle, what you want your day to feel like. And I will help you map out where you actually belong here in Northern Virginia.